Hey, Oscar, thanks for joining us, man. Good to have you on again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great to have you on anytime. You've got a new album out, Avenge the Fallen, which
Mhm.
has just been released just the other day. Um, how did you go with that one? Was anything changed in the process of recording that, and where was it done?
We've done the same, well, had the same process the last three, uh, but no, the last five albums, I'd say, actually,
Right.
basically, just minor differences. But we record the drums and the guitars and the bass here in this studio where I am right now. It's located on my property, so it's close, close to home for me. It also does sound great when we record here. It's our own studio, so we don't have to worry about another band knocking on the door and wanting to get in or shit like that. Um, so that's been really good. No stress or no. We have to finish at a deadline, but there's still never any time stress during the recordings, which is really great. And then Joachim wants to work with some vocal producer somewhere. He finds this time was Jay Ruston in LA. So we go there for a few weeks to record that. And then Fredrik Nordström, of course, is involved in the process. So he is producing the drums, helping us set the guitar sound and bass sound, and then does, of course, the mix, because that is when his real magic comes in. I think
Hmm.
he's really good at that stuff. So that is the same process. We have used this since Revolution in 2014. But it's this process that really works really well for us. And the thing is, we use a different types of equipment. Uh, Usually, I mean, I've updated my studio now with an amp for this for this recording, that we used an amp like this last time, but it wasn't mine, and I loved it so much that I wanted to buy it, just because it's well, it does sound great, for this type of thing. But I think what we've done mostly, I mean, the production is done in the same way. But if you compare, let's say, this album to Hammer of Dawn, the previous one, which was recorded during the pandemic,
Hmm.
it was a big difference in, uh, I guess you could say, energy. We tried to get the energy level up, but it's difficult when you haven't done anything for a
Hmm.
year and a half.
Hmm.
This time we came off a long tour with Halloween. We toured for a year and a half with them
Wow.
all over the world, basically. And a couple of months later, we were in the studio, so everybody was,
Yeah.
fresh and ready, and and plus, I know, for example, David, the drummer, he was. I don't think he was disappointed with his performance, but he was disappointed in the way it turned out, the way it felt during the recordings of Hammer of Dawn. So because I hadn't played drums for a long time, maybe a year or so, and he
Yeah. Yeah.
got COVID 2 or 3 weeks before the recording, so he was really not at his best. And I know, I mean, we got where we were supposed to. It just took him longer and was a lot more suffering for him involved. So when we came to record Avenge the Fallen, he came in, he hit the ground running. Basically, he was really ready already right away. And he also thinking about the songs. He was talking about the songs and how we wanted to, and he was still never satisfied. Of course, nothing he ever did in the studio was enough for him. But we had to. I mean, that's why you have a producer, right? You have Fredrik Nordström, and me was there. I was there too, and Fredrik, the bass player, also. And we had to tell him, like, look, you don't have to redo that part, because that is fucking great what you just did. It's enough. And I think he got around to, after a while. He still wasn't happy with it, anything, but I think now he will be, or he is, because he performed better than he has on any other album that we ever recorded with him. And it gave us the energy level of his performance, gave us something great to build on, because
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that we went to the bass and guitars, and it was very easy to get energized with that type of drumming that he performed. So I think he
Hmm.
did a tremendous job.
Hmm. The album is a very good sounding album. Um,
Mhm.
Polished in all the right places, but not too polished, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah,
say that in the nicest possible way.
yeah,
And you mentioned
100%.
Joachim's vocal producers. He just sounds so good on this album.
He does. I mean, that is, he is. Uh, I think he's the rare type of singer that gets better with age instead of
Hmm.
worse.
Hmm.
Because if you he's always taking care, as long as I've known him, even when we were just playing the first shows together, he has been taking care of his voice, and he has been doing vocal exercises before the show to warm up, basically, for at least 20 minutes or whatever it is, 10 maybe,
Yeah.
but at least however long it is. He's been doing these exercises for 30 years. And that
Yeah.
has helped him preserve his voice, I think. And
Yeah.
plus, okay, I mean, if you work with a guy called Jay Ruston, who has done a bunch of great albums, and it's a really nice guy too, because as a singer, you need somebody to give you feedback in the right places, the right type of feedback, so that they don't bring you down. Because singing is well, any type of instrument or sport is about how confident you are in yourself. If you don't have the confidence, yeah, exactly. Singing more than anything else, I think, at least more than anything in a metal band. And if you have somebody who you trust, who can give you constructive criticism instead of saying you suck, do it better. You know, that's not constructive. I'm not saying we had anybody like that, but you know, that's the way that a great producer can build you up and then make you perform. Because Joachim has it in him, and I think he has a pretty good sense of what he can do too. He's a smart guy. He knows exactly where he can and can't do. But just having having somebody to help you pull that out of you when you actually need it, which is when it's put on tape. That I think Jay has played a role in that as well.
Yeah.
And plus Joachim's preparations. He was very well prepared for this album. I think there was very few instances in the melodies where he was, I could go this way or I could go that way. What do you think? Like everything was laid out. And he was so happy with everything. It was just a matter of performing, and I think it turned out really good. That's, like you said, he's singing better than ever.
Yeah. Music videos.
Huh?
I saw the Hail to the King. I noticed Patrick Elias, I think they pronounced that right. I've
Yep.
seen his name
Mhm.
and heard his name mentioned a lot lately. What was it like working with him?
Well, we've known him for many years. You know,
Mm,
he's from Gothenburg, same as us. The first time we worked with him was actually for One More Time on the Affected the album. That's the first video he did with us.
mm,
I've known him a couple of years longer than that as well, but it's great. He's a really positive, upbeat guy. Everything is great, you know, always a smile, and he's having fun doing this shit that he does. You know, he's loving every second of it. And that's also a little bit contagious, you know, because video recordings
mm.
can be dull, very dreary. There's nothing happening, you know. And then all of a sudden, hey, you're up. Somebody says, so you have to go in there and perform all of a sudden, even though you don't
Yeah,
play actually, but you have to do the
yeah,
theatrics
yeah.
stuff, whatever it is. And that can be hard as well. At least for me, if you need to be concentrated and focused on at a certain time and never anywhere else during the day, it's really sometimes I have a hard timing that, you know, when I'm actually needing to perform. But Patrick is a different story. He's always there to put a positive spin on anything, basically. You know, he's a funny, happy guy, and I love working with him for that reason. Plus, he's a great director. He knows exactly what he's doing
Mm.
and how to get what he you know, get the performance and everything that's what he's after. Because when we're recording, he's also already thinking about editing and stuff. You know, it's already laid out those things in, you know, the plan.
Now, you mentioned touring before. Now, were you on tour with Halloween for a year and a half?
Yeah, well, not from start to finish. We started
Mm,
it in May and ended in September the next year in 23. But there was the reason for that was because the tour for that they were supposed to do that we were supposed to do was postponed
yeah,
because of the pandemic.
yeah, yeah,
And because of the pandemic, I think the thing they lifted the restrictions on Europe. I think about 3 or 4 weeks before the tour was supposed to start, and then we had a full tour planned, like from start to finish from like 5 weeks or
yeah.
whatever it was. But because the pandemic was hit so hard on so many levels on people, they didn't dare to keep it. Even though like the restrictions had been lifted, people were still scared of going to the shows. And
Yeah,
even though the tickets were sold, I know in Germany, especially because we work a lot with Germans, and they told us that even though the tickets that, I mean, for tours that have been sold before that summer of 22, or you know, from May till whatever at the end of 22, there were about 20-30% of people who didn't show up because they were afraid to go to concerts, even though this stuff the restrictions were out off. So Halloween decided to postpone everything.
Yeah.
And then they split everything up, because of course you can't just have all the venues available when you want them to.
Yeah.
And when the restrictions were lifted, everybody wanted to be on tour. Still the same
Yeah.
thing today. Everybody's out. So there was a bunch of it was hard to find dates. So they picked the show. So instead of doing 5 weeks in a row, we did 2 dates here, 3 dates here, 1 date there, 4 dates there.
Yeah.
It was it went off, and then of course somebody got sick, so they had to postpone those dates. It was a really long tour. Plus, we did also do Latin America together with them. That was in a consecutive tour, and another in North America together with Halloween. So there was a bunch of stuff going on as well during that time. But all in all, we were on the road together with them for a year and a half.
Are you playing festivals at the moment sporadically on?
Yeah, we just did the last one on Saturday. Now,
Okay, which one was that?
2 days ago. It was the Helsinki Metal Fest in Helsinki, Finland.
Nice. How are those festivals? How do you find them? Is it too much of a rush, or do you get time to sit back and let it sink in, see other bands, socialize with the other bands that you may not have seen for a while?
Yeah, normally we do that. It depends on what type of bands are playing. It's sometimes like, for example, Creator was playing also on this festival, and we know them a little bit. We toured with them before, but we also seen them 5 times or something this summer already.
Yeah.
So so it's you don't go and see every show, but there was German, maybe. I don't remember where we were, but there was a festival a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, where the Halo Effect was playing, which are friends of mine since 30
Mm.
years or whatever.
Yeah.
And I never seen them live either, so I really want to see them. So
Mm.
then of course we went to their show, and then we hung out with them afterwards a little bit before it was time for our show too. So but that was just friends that for a long time.
Mm.
Just want to say hi and have a few laughs with. And that's festivals are really good for that. They're
Yeah.
really good for that. Just I look at it sometimes, if there's a lot of bands, it's more like a company party. We have a big company, everybody gets together because everybody's in loose mode, happy, and just want to hang out and relax, and that's a great feeling with festivals.
Yeah. Right. Now you're coming down here, way down here on
We
the
sure
other
are.
side of the world in January
Yes,
for a full tour this time, not just one show.
exactly.
Um, it always amazes me why come all the way down here for one show. A couple of bands have done that, and it's like, what the?
Well, no, we have done that too once, actually. We played
Mm,
in Melbourne in
mm,
2015.
mm.
But the reason for that was we wanted to do more, but the promoter said, "Yeah, let's try one first and see what happens." We
Yeah.
don't want to risk
Okay.
anything, and we wanted to do other cities while we still are down there. Like you said, it's halfway around the world. Why
Yeah.
go all the way if you just do one show?
Yeah.
But that we didn't have any influence over that. This time, the promoter who is booking this tour said, "I want you to do all the cities that we, the 5, I think it is,
Yeah.
the major cities. Let's do all of them, because it's they had, and this is a really good promoter that we're working with too. So they know what they're doing, and uh, for us, it's great. I mean, we're going to be there for a little more than a week, I think, maybe 10 days or something. I'm not sure
Mm,
exactly how long it's going to be, but it's going to be a while. And so last time we had 1 day before Melbourne, then we played the show, and then we went home. That's it. That's all I got to see of Australia. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of the country now. Maybe not go on a lot of excursions, but at least see some parts of cities and stuff. I'm looking forward to that very much.
coming in for 2 days, that's like being a bank robber.
Yeah,
So we.
but we didn't go from Sweden to there though.
Oh,
That we
okay.
went to we came from Tokyo
Yeah.
via and then went via Taipei and Hong Kong. So it's still a long trip, but it's on the same time zone at least, more or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah. How do you go crossing time zones all the time? Being in
Yeah.
band as long as you have and touring as much as you have, how do you go like on the body, changing time zones like that. Are
It's a
you
bit of
pretty
a
good with
bitch.
that?
No, I'm
No.
not anymore. I don't think I ever was. Going east is always harder than going west for us as Europeans, because we
Yeah.
have the US to the west and Asia and Australia to the east. And it's the same going back. Like if you've been on a 5-week tour of the US and then go back to Europe, it's the same thing. The jet lag is so much harder going east than it is going west. It's not even the same thing basically. For me, it is. It has never been. And I think what that is because it's easier to stay awake when you're really really tired. Uh, that's easier than sleeping when you're not tired at all, because that's impossible. Unless you take sleeping pills or something. So
Yeah.
that is the way it is for me. Nowadays it takes usually took like 1 week before going back from a US tour to Sweden. It took me 1 week, and then I was more or less okay. When you're younger, now it takes 2 weeks. And the last time it took even more than that. It took the whole summer. It felt like I was still tired at night, when I never am tired at night. Normally at that hour. So it
Yeah.
was weird, but it's going to be interesting because we go to Australia in January. We come home. I think we're home for like a week, maybe a little bit more, 9 days or something, and then we go to the US to go on a cruise. The 70,000 tons of metal. So we're going to
Yeah.
be over here in Australia for a week or 10 days. Going to be in Europe for a week or 10 days, and then we're going to be there for a week. It's like that's completely off. I mean, the time difference between Florida is where the cruise originates from, and Australia is incredibly big. That's another thing I didn't know. How much of a time difference do you guys have from the western part of your country to the eastern part? Do you know?
Oh, 3 hours,
You've got to be some, right?
3 hours, something, or two and a
Yeah,
half hours.
right. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the
There's.
US they have.
Yeah. Go on.
Sorry.
Go
No,
on.
yeah,
Go on.
what I mean is the US have 3 different time zones,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, 4 different time zones. So the East Coast and left coast, West Coast is 3 hours difference,
Yeah. Yeah. Three.
right?
We're only half
Uh,
here in Adelaide. We're only half
yeah.
an hour behind, like the eastern
Oh,
seaboard, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane.
it's
In
split up in
summer,
half
it's a bit
hours.
different. There's another time zone in Brisbane in summer because they don't do daylight saving. So have
Oh
fun with that.
shit. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that now. That's going to be interesting. Nobody's going to know what the hell the time is right now. It's going to be
They
weird.
have people near the border of New South Wales and Queensland, like in New
Hmm.
Year's Eve, like New Year's celebrations. They'll be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
south of the border, and then they'll go north of the border
Oh, wow. So you
for
get two
the.
in one year.
Yeah, I
That's
think it's
that's awesome.
yeah,
I love that idea. I would do that as well if I was there, if I lived there had that situation. That's wonderful.
yeah. Now you've been around a while. You got another album out. How you going to go getting? How many songs are you going to be doing off the new album in the new set list?
Um, well, uh, so the thing is, we have uh, just finished. Like I said, the last festivals of the season was on Saturday. We got
Yep.
some more stuff planned next week, and because of the album release and everything.
Mhm.
But then we have a month with Powerwolf in October, which
Yep.
is sort of the big thing that we do this fall. And after that, we don't have anything until Australia. So I think we're going to start thinking about next year's set list after that, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, 3 songs is not out of the question. It depends
Yeah.
on how long we play, maybe 4. But we'll see how things turn out with that. I think there's an internal discussion we need to have because we haven't really thought about it yet. But 3 or 4, I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You got a couple in the set now?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
the first single was "Hail to the King," and the second was "The End Justifies," and we played those throughout the summer in
Yeah.
Europe here,
How did
and
they go
even
down?
sorry.
How did they go?
Oh, they it was great. The "Hail to the King" came out in April already when we were in Brazil, so we played that the first time in Brazil, and then we played that throughout North America where we did a tour right after that. And then for the festivals, I think the end Justifies came out in time for the first or second festival. So we played both of them, and they've gone, especially Hail to the King, because that is such an easy song, even if you haven't heard it very much. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
easy to do that. And Justifies is more of a listener, but I know you can. It's great when you have a new song out with lyrics that are that they use. You can see that the lyrics in that chorus for that song, people know that those lyrics because they speak
Mm,
to them, and
mm,
you can always tell the people who are getting into it. And it's more of a fast. It's a fast one, so it's not so easy to get into if you haven't heard the song. But if you have, it's a very good live song for us.
mm. Excellent. Hey, Oscar, thanks so much for having another chat to me. You're welcome anytime. We will see you January.
Yes.
Can't
Yeah.
wait.
Thank you for having me. It's a
Hey,
pleasure being here.
no worries, man. We'll
All
see you
right.
when you get down here. Have a good one.
Yeah. Absolutely. Take care, man. Thank you. Bye bye.